Hello and welcome back to my art channel. I hope you've been well. So I've been busy over the past couple of weeks and I've treated myself to a few new fancy gadgets and art supplies, which I will share with you in this artist vlog. But if you've been around here for a while, you know I like to share with you a few relaxing clips at the beginning of my videos of some of the beautiful nature walks we've been on. And these walks really help lift my mood, and I work from home during the week, so it's good to get some fresh air as much as possible. So I hope you enjoy these clips of our trip to Norfolk, and I hope they bring you some inspiration if you're struggling this week. So I think I might be getting old or something, because my poor neck and back have been suffering lately, and it's because of the hunching over and looking down I've been doing when drawing. I've even started to use my book stand as a drawing board, which didn't really cut it, so I treated myself to my first ever drawing board. I ordered this A2 drawing board from Jackson's Art online, and it's perfect. I think it's a little too big for my tiny studio. I currently have all my art supplies in a room off of our bedroom, which I think is actually meant for a walk-in wardrobe. But at the moment, my computer is set up on the desk, and I've had to set this new drawing board up in our conservatory for now. Plus, I think the daylight in there is much better. The sun shines all day through this room, so I think it's better for the lighting anyway. I think this is something to think about for yourself. How is your posture when you work on your art? Sometimes a piece of art can take hours, even days to finish, so you need to make sure you are comfortable. And it probably doesn't help that I sit looking at a computer all day and then I want to draw. So no wonder I've been struggling. But I was really excited when this arrived, and I think it will make all the difference with my neck pain and hopefully make me more comfortable when I'm drawing, which should improve my patience as well as my posture. So as you may know, I have started to gain a bit of a collection when it comes to colour pencils, and my favourites are the Faber Castell Polychromos and the Derwent drawing pencils. I have been slowly adding colours to my Polychromos set, which my husband got for me for Christmas, and I bought a few extras since then from Hobbycraft and Jackson's Art, but when I was in Hobbycraft last, I accidentally bought the same pencil twice, which is a bit annoying because they are not cheap, as we all know. But I have now worked out a system to hopefully stop me doing this again. I downloaded the complete list of Polychromos and made a personalised swatch sheet for the complete set, the 120 colours. So now when I get a new pencil, I just have to mark it off on my sheet. You may have heard me talk about wanting to try the Caran D'ache Luminance pencils for a very long time, and I've heard so much about their quality and how they have colours that are great for animal portraits. So every now and then I always have a cheeky look on my favourite online shop, Jackson's Art, in case there is ever a reasonably priced set of these pencils going. And I came across this selection of 19 pencils, which seemed to be perfect, as they were a selection of pencils picked by the artist Bonny Snowdon, which before this, I never heard of her before, but I searched her on YouTube, and Bonny is a colour pencil artist and tutor who does these amazing animal portraits. I have Bonny's information in the description, so you can go check her out, but naturally, this sold this set to me, as the range of pencils were a great selection of muted natural colours, which would of course work well in most animal portraits. Yes, they were still pricey, but I thought it would be a good place to start my collection, as I did with the Polychromos pencils. I started with a small selection and then gradually built up my collection with the colours that I actually need and will use. These pencils are so pricey, I could never be able to afford the full set. And I wanted to get my hands on, especially the shades that have the percentage on them, which are really quite unique. So these pencils are known for their exceptional quality, their rich pigmentation and light fastness, making them the top choice for professional artists. And when swatching this set of 19, I can see that they do have a smooth, creamy texture, and I know that will be good for blending and layering. And you can see that they are very pigmented, and even though most of these are darker, muted colours, you can see that they are very rich in colour. I think that these colour charts were a good idea, and I thought these might be handy for my fellow pencil lovers, and I wanted to share them with you. So I created a link which I will put in the description so you can download the PDF and print these. I only have Derwent Drawing, Polychromos and Luminance charts, but I hope you find them useful. I've always loved painting wildlife in watercolour, but recently I've been really drawn to try something a little bit different, and colour pencils allow for so much detail and realism, so I thought why not give it a go. And you may have seen my recent short I posted of my drawing of a vixen and her cub on drafting film. This was such a lovely photo reference which I found on Unsplash, and I really enjoyed challenging myself to only use colour pencils for the whole drawing. Drafting film is 100% polyester, and it doesn't tear, it's translucent, and it also won't fade or change colour over time. The surface is very smooth but has enough tooth in it, so it will take the colour pencil pretty easily, and you won't need a lot of layers. Not like hot pressed watercolour paper, for instance. You can also use both erasers and slice tools on drafting film with no problems either, which I've recently discovered I love. I was really pleased with the outcome of my first attempt on drafting film, so I thought I would try again with a portrait of a giraffe. And my mum loves giraffes, and as it's Mother's Day this month, I thought I'll give this a go, and they're just so gorgeous, aren't they, with their big eyelashes and their big eyes. I ordered a sheet of graphics drafting film, which was 24 inches by 36 inches, which of course you can cut to smaller sizes. As I tend to work at a smaller scale, this one sheet will go quite far, really, possibly 4, not even more pages. A con with drafting paper is that if you do crease it, the crease never comes out, and it is very obvious. So although, you know, it's a great surface, you really need to keep it nice and flat and treat it with a lot of care. What I love most about it is that it's translucent, just like tracing paper. So you could put your pencil drawing underneath as a guide, I like to tape the pages in place and then go in with the colour pencil on the drafting film. This way you don't have to rub out any pencil marks and your colour pencils won't have to mix in with the graphite pencil. So it keeps the colour more clean and more vibrant, I think. As I said, the one thing which could be a negative is that I have to learn that drafting paper doesn't like a lot of layers. So you need to keep your layers very light and very few. And you have to be very light-handed and precise when laying the colours down. And remember, if you want to darken areas, you can also draw on the back of the drafting film. So the good news is that the light in my conservatory is amazing. But the bad news is that the light is so bright next to the window, so I had to move the desk over a bit. I think I'll have to yo-yo back and forth depending on where the sun is throughout the day. But I think changing the scenery has actually been a good thing, and yeah, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the change of scenery. Plus, I'm right next to the kitchen, so I'm much closer to the kettle and, you know, the snacks. I am gradually learning the coloured pencil techniques which are essential for creating depth, texture and realism. And one of the most important methods is layering, where multiple light layers of colour are applied gradually to build up a richness and depth. And it's best to start off with your lightest shade and then gradually build up layers of darker tones. When drawing realistic animals, mastering third direction and length is crucial, and you need to use very light strokes to mimic the direction of the hair. Now, this is what I'm finding really hard to get right, especially when I was doing my foxes. But luckily, the giraffe doesn't have very long hair at all, so I think I made the right decision here. But this is definitely something I need to really work on. I am trying to take a little section at a time to try and match colours that I can see from light to dark, and then try to mimic any textures too. As my guidelines are on the paper underneath the drafting film, I can slip a plain bit of paper between the two, like I am here, and I can see how my drawing is developing. It's easier to see without the heavy pencil lines on how the drawing is taking form, and I can gauge if there is enough shadows or if there are any areas that need more refining. I think with practice and experimentation, I really hope I can develop these pencil techniques, as I just love the realistic drawings that really bring these animal portraits to life. As you may know, this is my second piece with just colour pencils, and although I can already see progress, it's definitely been a learning curve, and I am really enjoying the process. But I think I have to get used to the fact that colour pencil isn't a fast medium, as I am used to painting with watercolour, which is a lot quicker and a lot looser. But with colour pencils, I need to learn it's not meant to be a fast process, and if I want to achieve the fine details, I will need to become a lot more patient with myself and take my time. In a way, I've been telling myself to slow down and really take in the small yet very important details. I like the fact that you need to really study your subject, and in my case I love animals, so I do find studying them fascinating, whether it's taking more note of the animal features, texture, shapes, colours. I can see how this can get very addictive, which I think may be a good thing, as I like to have something to focus my energy on, as I do get restless. Plus, I think the best time of drawing for me is when I'm in the middle of it, or when I first started. I don't know if it's just me, but when I think I'm finished a piece, I get a bit sad, and I think, oh God, what am I gonna do next? What am I gonna draw now? So I think the longer it takes me, the better. I actually really enjoyed waking up on the next day thinking of my floating head downstairs, and I wanted to finish it, but I also at the same time I didn't want to rush the process and not put the same amount of effort into the second part. Day 2. Day 2 on the giraffe picture, and I got down to see this. Oh, I forgot to put the nuts out. Oh, he's probably angry. So as I said, this is day 2 on my giraffe portrait. And this is the progress so far. Yeah, she's just a floating head at the moment, so today I'm going to give her a neck and hopefully tidy her up a bit. So because one piece takes so many layers and so many different colour pencils, I have to keep all the pencils I use in a separate pot, just so I can keep track of them. So they obviously start over here. My polychromos, my luminance and my Derwent all split up, so I know where to find them, hopefully. And then when I use that pencil on the piece, I pop it in this pot. So yeah, just to keep track of them, because it does take so many layers. Okay, less layers on drafting film, but still, I wouldn't be able to keep track. While getting more into pencil art, I have come across 2 tools which I really think are handy, and the first is the Faber Castell Precision Eraser Pen, which I think is great to make gentle highlights. It's a very thin eraser and much like the Tombow. It's designed for precise removal of pencil and colour pencil lines, and I can remove unwanted colour or fade a colour so it looks more like a highlight, like in fur, for example. This pen also came with refills, which I thought was great. The next tool I would recommend is the slice tool. This is a ceramic blade with a rounded tip, and you can gently use it to scratch off your colour pencil and create very fine details, just like the hairs in my giraffe's ears. And just by experimenting and practice, I'm slowly learning to use both these tools, and I think they both add interest and details that I couldn't get by just using the colour pencils. So as you can see here, I turned the picture around as I wanted to do some extra shading on the back of the film to darken some areas. You don't have to do this, but I wanted to make the shadows a bit more defined. If you have watched a few of my videos, you may have noticed that I don't really like to be on camera, and that is because I am shy and speaking to a camera doesn't come naturally to me. Unfortunately, I'm not very confident, and I don't really want to come across as fake or awkward, so I do shy away from it. But I am trying to work on that, so I hope you don't mind. I understand it's nice when you can put a face to a voice, and I will try and pop myself in there from time to time to prove to you that there is a person behind the voice. And I plan each video as much as I can, and I do put a lot of thoughts and effort into them. So what I want to say is I hope that makes up for not being on camera. Plus, planning what I want to say also helps me from talking a lot of unnecessary nonsense. And I appreciate everyone who has subscribed to my channel. The support you've shown is absolutely incredible, and honestly, I wanted to just put that out there to show you I do appreciate you. I am really sorry about all the rambling, but I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. I will pop all the art supplies I've talked about in this video in my description if you're interested. It's worth noting that I'm not affiliated with any brands and my opinions are my own. Don't forget, if you want a copy of my free colour pencil swatch sheets from earlier for the free brands I use, you can download the PDF in my description for free. My final thoughts on my giraffe. I am quite happy with how she turned out. I think the hardest part was the section above her eyes and the wrinkles around her eyebrows. I didn't know giraffes had eyebrows. She has better eyebrows than me, so that's something. Of course, I have to think about what I'm going to draw next. But until then, until my next video, I hope you have fun making art that makes you happy, and don't forget to take care of yourself.